So behind me is a 1996 Chevrolet S10. She's a two-wheel drive base model with a 4.3. I got her cheap. I was looking for a rig that I could get into at a low price, something that needed a little bit of love, and she needs some love. Over the next few videos, we'll be bringing her back around. So hope you like these. Let's get into it. So as you can see, got a bit of a ongoing valve cover leak there, and she's bad. There's oil all over everything underneath, and until I get this sealed up, I'm not going to know if it's leaking anyplace else. So right now it looks like timing cover's leaking, rear main's leaking, oil pan's leaking, but it could all just be valve covers running down the front and the back of the head. Leaking so bad. How bad was it leaking? So bad that when I took the harness apart, the harness is full of motor oil. And that was back behind the brake booster here. Just all sorts of, so she must have had quite the power wash before, and you just can't see these valve covers until you get everything off them. Looks like it's had the intake done before, and they didn't feel like pulling the AC power steering bracket all the way off because they notched it to get to that intake bolt. It's a custom. So we're back in the shop. Took the hood off. Thought I'd make some room for activities. Let a little more light in here. And she's filthy. That was all there when I took off the valve cover gasket. I have a feeling that the last time they're having the same problem I have with this EGR line being a little stuck to the manifold. Well, it's not freed up from the manifold, but the pipe inside is stuck. So I think they had some trouble getting it on, and that knocked the gasket out of place because the back of that head is just filthy. I mean, it's been probably leaking since day one. And this one's a little better. But yeah, she's got a lot of crud in her, which I guess is to be expected with that valve covers not completely sealing. Well, get her cleaned up. I'll get the valve covers cleaned up and we'll get her put on. Well, the guys spent way too much time, but got the valve covers mostly cleaned up. And got the surface prepped for the valve covering gasket mostly. Looks like I need to touch that back corner a bit. But get those valve covers on, get the motor closed back up. I had no idea there was writing on it when I started. Spent a insane amount of time cleaning these today. Probably 4 hours. It wasn't just oily. It was baked on, like they've been leaking for 10, 20 years. It was just baked on and mixed in with it. With the oil and the dirt, this fella must have lived on a gravel road that had a lot of sand. Probably down near the river. Now a lot of the leaking back here is coming, filthy all up here. Down here is super filthy. I suspect a lot of that's coming from this. So I had a bungee cord holding it down, which I took off. Got a replacement tube. Get that snuck up in there, and that'll take care of that. Well, it's a new day in the shop, and we're back on the S10 project. Today we're going to get the old distributor out and the new distributor in, replacing the distributor because the ear that holds the cap on the screw goes into is left the chat. And we're going to get the electrical connections cleaned up, the wire harness back in. I'm still waiting on a water pump, ordered a new pump, didn't want a reman, and I wanted an AC Delco, so because I want what I want, I get to wait a bit. But kind of get this back together a bit. Not going to put the AC compressor back on yet because it allows me some room to get some extra room to get to the pump. And yeah, stuff. Might have some visitors stopping by the shop today. And that'll be fun. So let's get to it. Well, in addition to the boss for the cap bolts on being busted off, this distributor gear has got some wear. It's not the worst I've seen, but when you compare it to the new one, and this will eventually reach a point where the computer can't adjust the timing. I've run into that before. Just can't adjust it far enough, and then you have drivability issues. So glad we're putting this in. I'll throw some assembly lube on. New Felpro gasket up here. It came with the gasket, but I just like using the Felpro, and we'll get her in. Well, it's been a productive afternoon, day. Yeah, productive day. Guess it's afternoon already. Distributors in, new wires, new plugs. Got the old Autolite 605s out of it. Put in some Delco Iridiums. So yeah, now we're blowing apart the front end. The ball joint's loose. Shock's being a bit of a bear. I got a feeling it's original shock. One of the speed nuts at the bottom broke, and the top is just rusted. So the guy I got this from and just replaced upper and lower ball joints. And I'm not a fan that the upper joint's not greasable, but it doesn't matter because replacing upper and lower control arms and new sway bar bushings, bearings. Not loving that, but she'll ride. Well, good morning. It's another day working on the S10. Today, oh boy, what are we doing today? Probably gonna start beating up on this side. We'll get suspension. Going. Maybe delete on this extra spark plug wire. A guy noticed when he turns too sharp, backing up or sharpish. Wonder what these are even off of. Mud flaps, because they don't fit this. She's rubbing pretty hard. And I think that's largely in part to this all just being there's a rock in there. That's got to be helping something. she's just, she got some miles on her. Gap mounts look good. But, yeah. See, get this side blown apart. Maybe we'll get a little luckier and shock bolts will want to cooperate. Probably not, but we'll see. Well, it has been a rough day working on the S10, and the main culprit, the bolts that hold the, what is it, the upper control arm to the frame. They're back in there. You can probably see them from up here. And maybe you can, maybe you can't. But they are rusty. And I've been jamming on those for hours. Little 1/16 of a turn. Get a couple, 3 or 4 of those in, then it gets too tight. Back her off, more rust penetrant. Yeah, it normally wouldn't be a problem, but we've got like 1.5 inches of thread, a good solid inch of thread to go. We'll get her. We'll get her. Did get the steering shaft out. Gonna have to replace on this clapped out rag joint. Doesn't look too bad, but when I've got both hands on it, I can twist it a solid 1/8 of an inch left to right. That's going to give us way too much play in the old steering wheel. But rather than just rebuild this one, I ordered a whole new assembly. So I'll grind off these rivets and bolt the new assembly on. And yeah, I think that's going to be for the best. Started soaking on this side, but I did get the lower control arm off of the navigator side. I'm sorry, I got the spring out. I haven't got the lower control arm. Like I said, it's been a day. But it's just 2 bolts to get that lower control arm out. That I can get an impact on, so rust be damned. You're coming off there. But yeah, spring's out. Nobody died. That's always fun. Got the shocks out. The shocks put up a bit of a fight. Finally got them moving loose, but the top of this one was already too goobered up to get her past there. And as you can tell, they're done for. Just absolutely done for. There's no rebound of any kind. I believe they are original shocks, so nearly 30 years. We'll give them a break. Speed nut on each side on the bottom broke loose, and so I just had to, they were just spinning. Had to get there in the grinder and cut off wheel and cut off the bolt head, but got her out. Well, that's all for this video. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll be back in a couple of days with another video, more progress. One thing I think we need is I've never named a vehicle in my life, but I think this needs a name besides Project S10. So, any ideas on what this old girl should be called? Put them down in the comments, and we'll pick one. Anyway, thanks for watching.